Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Merry Christmas. It's always fun to do PIDAC in December because it's a fun month and easy to decorate and have giveaways and PIDAC for parents and schools. So thank you for taking time out of your day to be here today. We have a couple of great speakers. I'm super excited about this. First, I'd like to introduce Superintendent Dr. Rick Surrency, because he was at a principal's meeting. He rushed over here so he could speak to everyone this morning, and then he's going to have to go back. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just wanted to welcome you and let him speak, and then we'll move on from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And how about these chairs? Nice chairs?
Oh, I love these chairs, but I want to just like take one with me to my office. I want to run away with one.
Mike, are we online too?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
we
where
are.
do I need to stand?
Right there is good.
Right here is good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a lot of folks online?
We have 4.
Okay, good.
Sir.
Well, welcome everybody online and live, and it's good to see you. And I don't really have any kind of big presentation or speech. I just want to share a couple of things with you. Actually, I just left the principal meeting, and we were doing a virtual meeting, and I actually shared a little video from an author named Brene Brown. You've heard of Brene Brown? She's a well-known author, but she actually talked about the idea of, or a famous speech from Teddy Roosevelt called "The Man in the Arena." If you ever get a chance to read that speech, it has some pretty neat stuff in it. But it really talks about, I was sharing that with principals, because, principals kind of have a lonely job, and a lot of times they don't get credit for what they do. A lot of times they deal with the stuff that maybe a lot of other people would rather not deal with. And a lot of times they don't get the credit for that. And I just said, you know what, just to sum it up, it's about being in the arena. It's about being there and having the credibility of being there. And it may not be, you may not win that battle, but you're in the arena, you're taking shots. And to me, that's what it's all about. And I just want to think about the job that our principals are doing, as well as all of our teachers and our non-instructional folks. Everybody is out there every day dealing with stuff, especially this past year or so, dealing with stuff that we haven't dealt with before. And there's not an owner's manual, there's not directions on how to deal with this stuff. So people are having to really deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So I just have a lot of appreciation for what our schools do, and especially the support of our parents. And I just think if we can have an understanding and maybe every now and then just say, hey, thanks to all you school folks for what you do. I know especially right now it's pretty hard, but we're all in this together, and we're trying to be the best we can for our kids. Second thing I want to mention is we have done something right here in this room. A couple weeks ago, we had, first time we've done this in a long time, had a community forum. I don't know how many of you were able to join us, but that was both live and online. And it was kind of a vulnerable kind of moment for all of us, because we kind of went out there and just kind of opened ourselves up for questions and comments and criticisms. It actually turned out to be very positive. We had a lot of our staff here. We had some questions that came in prior to that, and we tried to answer those as accurately as we could, but there were a lot of questions that were asked that we had no idea what we were going to hear. And just the environment now, and I'm not saying in Putnam County, but a lot of the places elsewhere, they're having a lot of contention, a lot of angry people. And so you're always taking a chance to do that, but it was very positive. And not that that was our goal. Our goal was to be totally transparent and really listen to what people had to say. It was designed to be an hour and a half, and I think we actually went about 2 hours, because we had a lot of questions coming in, and we had so many questions that were actually coming in online. We were kind of having to group them together, kind of like topics, but I think we dealt with them as best we could. So we felt good about that, and I think our next step in that, I know our next step is we're going to have another community forum. You may want to write this down. It's January 13th at 6 p.m. on a Thursday night. It's going to be both live and online. We are actually going down to Crescent City, and I believe we'll be in Crescent City Junior Senior High School. We just want to be close to different parts of the county so people can come and make it more convenient for people to be a part of that. I encourage all of you to either come and be online and send us questions. And we'll have people there that normally I'll ask other people to address it, something they have more information about. But again, the whole idea is we're trying to be as transparent and open as possible and really look for your input. The only way we're going to get better is to listen to people and look forward together. We do not have all the answers. I said that in that forum. We do not have all the answers. And if we do, then we're lying, okay? But we definitely want to listen. And I think when we all come together and we listen to each other, I heard a great analogy recently of making some vegetable soup, a pot of vegetable soup. You know, when you put vegetables in soup, they're all kind of raw and they have their own texture and all that. But when you mix them all together, they all blend. They kind of get mushy a little bit, as long as you don't overcook them, but they kind of blend and the flavor from all those vegetables come out. And it creates a new flavor that each of them separately would not create. And I look at what we do as a big pot of vegetable stew. We all come together, and I think what comes out of that is something that's kind of unique. But if we cook something and we leave out some ingredients, like parent input or student input, sometimes we don't get the kind of flavor we're looking for, right? So just think of that. I think we're just trying to get together and make some vegetable stew, okay? By the way, I want to mention one last thing. In the area of trying to be open and transparent, we actually have a student advisory council now. I might have mentioned this last time I saw you. Man, I think about it. We have students come in from each of the high schools. About 5 students in each high school. And you actually go to the district office. I did this last year, and I actually go meet with different high school students at their high school. But this time we brought them all together. And that was kind of cool having them all sit together. We listen to each other, meet each other and all that. And I basically said, you guys are here because your principal has appointed you to represent your school. So they were feeling pretty good about themselves, okay? But here's the neat thing. I wasn't there to use them and try to manipulate them and, hey, go out and do this and tell whoever. I was there to listen to them. And like I did in the community forum. But the other thing that we are strategically trying to do is we're trying to build student leaders. We are actually doing a book study together. It's a John Maxwell book. And I'll think of in a minute. Slips my mind. No, it's not right. John Maxwell. It's something about sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Not lose, sometimes you learn. That's what it's called. And it really just talks about growing up, being a student, and sometimes things don't always work out the way we want to work out. But when they don't, when we have those setbacks, we learn from them. It does not mean we're a failure. We learn from them. So that's what I'm conveying to the students. And I think the ultimate goal is those students can go back into their schools, and with a ripple effect, they can actually have an impact on their student body that we adults probably can't have. So any thoughts about that? Any thoughts about our student advisory, our community forum, the man in the arena? Let me hear from you. What are your reactions, your thoughts, your criticisms, your ahas? Angela, I see it on your face.
I just think you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. And I'm not here, I really am here to solicit input from you, really valuable input, and it doesn't hurt my feelings. But if there's something you think, especially along those lines, that we can do better or more thoughtful, then I'm all about that.
Well, I think this is the better, back when I was in high school, there was nothing like this, where
As far as
you could feel free. The community forums, the student forums, I'm not sure about PIDAC at that time, but you created a safe place where all can come and share And it's about being constructive because we want to be better. We don't want to stay stagnant, you know. We believe in our county and it takes all of our input. So I like all of the programs that you're doing.
Well, I really appreciate that. And it is about being vulnerable and open. And, I know we're going to hear about early childhood in just a minute. And I know Jessica is probably looking for input on that as well. But you know, the key to our success, the key to success in America is going to be through that early childhood. And by the way, I might have mentioned it to you before, but I'm going on a neat little trip next month to Finland.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Finland is really cold in Finland. I'm having to buy clothes I've never bought before to go to Finland. But you know, the one thing I'm gonna look at is early childhood.
Really interesting takes on early childhood.
Yeah, and the idea of free play. I'm really curious about that, and maybe we can come back.
Did you want me to go to Finland? Rewrite some notes.
Maybe I'll zoom back.
But Dr. Santi, speaking on the student advisory council, just because I came from the high school counselor, those students that are selected take that very seriously, and it really gives them some leadership within their school, and you know, they take that and take it seriously and go back to the students in the school and ask for suggestions. And I loved hearing those conversations because they were ready to meet and they wanted to have it together. And I think that's super important. They feel like they have a say. And in fact, for that, we do invite them. We invite the student advisory council if it's at a time or class where they can zoom in to the meeting, so they feel like they're a part of this, you know, as well as other students. But we try to encourage them to do to attend PIDAC also.
There was two takeaways, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Two takeaways from that student advisory meeting that I still remember now. Most of those kids were like juniors and seniors, but there was one or two eighth graders there. And you know, with our 7-12 configuration now, I was kind of curious to hear from them. Had a little eighth grade girl sitting here, and I really kind of had to prod her a little bit because she felt kind of intimidated sitting with the local students. But it was really interesting, her perspective on that, and it was really positive. I mean, most kids feel kind of intimidated by being there. She thought it was really positive that she's in there with the high school students. I mean, in the high school, the junior, senior high school concept. And I know it's kind of different for kids, but I think in the end, I think it's going to give, especially the younger kids, some opportunities to do some things that they otherwise would not. So here's the other thing that I want to stress, and I can't stress this enough. And we talked about the idea of wearing student ID or our IDs, which mine was in the vehicle, sorry. You know, the little IDs we wear for safety. And a lot of our principals are really being challenged and trying to make sure kids do that, okay? And they've had to do different incentives and different consequences, if you will, on them not wearing it. But you know what one of the kids said? If you just tell us what the purpose is, tell us why. We just want to know why. Instead of just say, hey, wear this, or you're going to be in trouble. That doesn't resonate with kids. And think about it. If they understand the purpose of why, then they can understand that. We talked about that. It's kind of like if we had an incident happen and you had to be in a hospital or you were somewhere else and you didn't have an ID on, we don't know how to get home to your parent. They understand that now. So I think I came away with that saying we have got to treat our kids like they are human beings, not little midgets or they're not little robots. We have to be able to give them the purpose. Kids want to do the right thing if we as adults can tell them why. So, anything else before I turn it over to back to Michelle?
Are there any comments online?
Any comments? No. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm gonna sit here for a minute and then I'm gonna slip out and go back to my other meeting. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to come. I
And by the
appreciate
way,
it.
Happy anniversary, 25 years, right here.
Thank you. Yes. I told him you can't forget it's Pearl Harbor Day, right?
That's right, that's right.
So we appreciate you, Dr. Sterncy, taking the time to come over here.
We do have Ashley McCool on the agenda next, but she is at the principal's meeting, so she's our director of community relations, and she usually gives updates, which I feel like Dr. Hunt give us a great deal of information there. So she is at the principal's meeting. She might pop in and out online, but she's handling things over there. And so we're gonna move right along. And so we have Dr. Melissa Coleman, which is our executive director of federal programs and instructional acceleration. And we are under her leadership, and we are so thankful for her every day because she is a wealth of knowledge. She always wants to put our children first. And, I don't have any kids in school anymore because they're grown on and gone off to college, but a lot of us, our kids grew up here, and then we have a lot of people that work for federal programs, their kids are still enrolled in school here. And so it is just nice to know that we have the leadership of someone who always puts children first. So I'm gonna welcome her to speak a little bit. She's supposed to be at the principal's meeting also, so I'm thankful she stayed behind and spoke for us today.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, I don't necessarily have anything prepared, but I did want to give a big thank you to our early childhood people who are here today. As you know, the state has placed an emphasis on K-1 instruction as a priority with the idea that early childhood learning is so important. And so I appreciate what y'all do. And those of you who are parents online and here today, I encourage you to talk with your schools about having parents read for their kids at home. And I know it sounds like such an easy thing, but when you get home, it's not that easy. Those of us that have kids at home, and anything you can do as our parent representative for PIDAC to encourage the schools to do initiatives to actually do the 20 minutes at home with your student, actually read the level of readers with your student. That'd be great. So thank you. I appreciate y'all being here, and I look forward to seeing you next.
Thank you. So they may have to slip out some time in the meeting for the principal's meeting, but I just wanted to make sure we, have them speak first if they have to leave. So I'm excited to introduce Jessica Stallings. We, talked back and forth, and I've been over her office, and we worked a little bit at the beginning of the year, and I've been so excited about her coming to speak. I love that we've had parents that are interested in pre-K and trying to get more families involved, getting kids signed up for pre-K, making sure our students in our county are kindergarten ready. So Jessica Stallings is the early childhood learning coordinator, and she's here just PowerPoint, and she's going to speak to you a little bit, and then we have another nice treat after Jessica. So Jessica,
Good
all yours.
morning. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all and inviting me to talk about what is certainly my passion is early childhood education. I work with pre-K teachers, with teacher education, best practices. I also get to hang out with pre-K kiddos, which is probably my favorite part of the job. Carolyn is up Melon with me, and it's so much fun to just have daily interaction with those kids. And so I'm so thankful to be here. I do have a presentation I'll just kind of talk through, just to give you a little bit more information, a little bit of background about pre-K, talk about a little bit of some of the challenges that we have and some of the things that we're doing to try to combat some of those challenges that we have. And we really need community help with some of those challenges, which is another reason I'm excited to be here. So a little background. You want me to, you just want to click through?
Yep.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, that's perfect. Yes. So a little bit of background about pre-K. Pre-K is available to any child in the state of Florida. It is a voluntary program. The state provides for 3.5 hours of pre-K. With our county, they can, parents can opt to have their child stay all day. It's a $180 wraparound fee if the parents want to keep their child all day. The majority of our pre-K kids stay all day long. We have maybe about 20 to 25 kids throughout the county who only are here for a half a day. We try to encourage the parents to keep them there all day. The learning doesn't stop at 11:36 or 11:46, depending on what school they're at. So we want them to stay all day long. And that does have one of our barriers in it that we'll talk about. So we have pre-K classes across the county. We have moved all of our central kids, so kids who originally would have been at James A. Long, Kelly Smith, Brown Pierce, Mosley. Yeah, those 4. We brought them all to Mellon this year at the Mellon Learning Center. So we have 7 pre-K classes actually at Mellon Learning Center, and I cannot tell you how wonderful that's been. We were nervous bringing all of those kids to one campus. Teachers were nervous having to leave their schools, but I think we created a really great environment. We are now the big fish. Pre-K is usually the little fish at schools because we usually have 1 or 2 classes. So at Mellon, we get to be the big fish, and the kids get to participate in PE and media, which Ms. Leggett does for us. And so it's really neat for them to feel more of a part of that school, and it's been neat to watch our teachers be able to collaborate more because there's more teachers. We've been able to do more PLCs with them because we have a big group of teachers there. It's been such a great experience. It's been wonderful being right across the street from the high school. We have lots of high school volunteers that come over. And I think that first they were a little nervous of our little guys, but they have really become a part of their classrooms, and it's so neat to see the high schoolers interact with them. Our pre-K babies love when they walk in the door, they get so excited. We have one of ours, the high school volunteers that is a member of JROTC. And when he comes in his uniform, those kids go crazy. And so I just love that they're already getting to see what their life could be like in high school. So even at 4 years old, they can see that and they can have excitement about that, which is really neat. That's been a really positive experience, and one that I didn't really think about when we moved there. We also have pre-K at the West End at Jenkins Elementary School, Aquila, and Melrose, and then down in the South End we have pre-K at Middleton Burning Elementary School. We do some assessments. There are a lot of legislation changes that are happening that are going to affect pre-K. We have some assessment changes. We have some PPA teacher requirement changes. There was a lot in the legislation over the summer that changed, and we're working through all those changes through pre-K. Thank you. So we do have standards, which I always want to tell people, because I think sometimes our image of pre-K is still from when I was in preschool, and it really was fun. I went to Pinot Baptist preschool and had a great time, but it was a very different system. Because we have voluntary pre-K, we do have standards that we have to follow. And so we're really trying hard to get our kids not just kindergarten ready, but not just socially kindergarten ready, but academically kindergarten ready. Especially in our county where our kids come from families who don't have the academic skills, the verbal skills that they need. When we get them in pre-K, we can start to meet those. So we have very specific standards that we go by. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have fun. On the next slide, I have some pictures of what a pre-K day looks like. You know, it's not a typical classroom. You're not going to see them sitting at desks all day long because they're 4 and 5 and they can't get that. So they listen to lots of stories. We have small group time where they play with manipulatives. We have technology. So we have them working on Chromebooks a little bit each day. We have them down at the little Kiwi where the little owl guy is. Social emotional learning is a huge part of pre-K. We have added a program that's called Kiwi Calm and Control. And if you talk to any of our 4-year-olds and you ask them if they're calm and control, they can tell you what that means. So we're really proud of that part. So it's not just academic learning, it's the social emotional part too. We also had Mother Goose here, and I don't know if you guys got to see that on Facebook, or there was a little write in the paper, which was awesome. Mother Goose came, and that was part of the Early Learning Coalition of North Florida. They provided Mother Goose, which was awesome. So it doesn't look like a typical, even K through 12 classroom. We do different things. We keep our kids moving. And so it does look a little bit different than just a normal classroom. The recruitment is really important and where we really need help from our community. We try as much as we can to get the word out, but I'm still always surprised about how many people don't know that pre-K is available, don't know how to even go about the process of getting their kids signed up for pre-K. So we are trying to get more involved with the community and get that word out there. Like I said before, it's available to any kid. Now, that doesn't mean we always can accept all of our kids throughout the county. We can take about 225-ish pre-K kids. But we want to get the word out there that it's available to them. We are going to do a big roundup at Mellon Learning Center to try to help families and get the word out that pre-K is available. That will be in March or April of next year. We want to assist families with applying for the process. There's a part online that they have to do that is a challenging part. And so our goal is to open that up, Mellon, let them come in, have Chromebooks. Have Miss Fury there because she helps us with our migrant families and our Spanish speaking families. So our goal is to open that up and open it up early so that we can get all that process started. We try to make contact with community members who may have contacts that can help us figure out where are these kids. Last summer, we actually went to the James A. Long Apartments in Ragsdale. We worked with Mr. Robinson. He actually gave us lists of kids and said, okay, in this apartment, there's a 4-year-old. And so Ms. Pascal was a big help with that too. She went to that apartment and was like, hey, you have a 4-year-old? Come to pre-K. That's what we're having to do, and we don't mind doing it. We just need help getting the word out there. We make call outs. Again, Ms. Perry is a huge help with our migrant families. She goes out, she finds the migrant children, and she takes them through the process step by step. And we are so thankful for her. Ms. Perry would call her and just be like, Ms. Perry, this mom speaks Spanish, can you go talk to her? And she will, and so that's been a huge benefit as well. We do have a Facebook page, and so we try to put lots of information on that as well to share with our families. Okay, next. So I did talk a little bit about barriers, and these are the biggest barriers that we're seeing right now. The first one I did talk a little bit about is awareness. Just the awareness that we have pre-K in our community and how to sign up for pre-K. That's where we do need community help to just get the word out there. Another huge barrier, and probably the one thing I could change about pre-K is this certificate of eligibility. I tell parents all the time, this is the part that gets me. It is the part the state requires, but everything is done online. Our Spanish-speaking families, a huge chunk of our families, they don't, online is hard for them.
Not user-friendly.
It's not user-friendly. You have to upload documents, and a lot of people don't have that ability to upload a document. You have to upload a birth certificate, you have to upload your proof of residency. That to me is the biggest barrier. We try to help when we can. If they come to our office, we will upload the document for them. We will help them apply for the certificate as well. So our hope is that through some roundups and through some community events, maybe we can start that process for them and help them through it. To me, that's our biggest problem and not what I can fix. All I can do is help support those families. Financial struggles. We know the county we live in, and even though $180 a month doesn't sound like a lot to me, to some of our families, that's huge. That's a huge amount for them. And so we have the Educational Foundation of Putnam County that was formerly LIFT. They do give us some scholarships. They were able to support about 25 families this year. But we also have some really exciting district grant resources that are going to be coming through that we're able to tap into. And so our hope is that we can assist more families and get more people in. It's been years since we've had that, a district resource to help. But with money that they've coming in, they're specifically writing for those things. And so we can get more families in and hopefully get more kids educated. Attendance is a barrier that I know we all face. Pre-K through 12 in our county, attendance is tricky. We have an attendance policy that we do talk about. We have to have one for the state. But it's more of a, we would like you to be here. We do not fall under state attendance rules because of the age of our children, and it's a voluntary program. So the best we can do is really encourage families and make them understand that we need your child at school every day. If they're not at school every day, they're not learning every day. We also talk to families a lot about, this is the year to set up a good standard for school and to start showing your child, even at 4, it is important to get up and go to school every day. Get up, go to school, learn, come home. And so we start that when they're at 4. Hopefully that pattern continues. But that is one of those barriers that we're trying to find solutions for. A big change in legislation that we're going to see too is this idea of this pre-K to kindergarten transition. So last year we started to do some things to help ease that transition. In our schools, it's really easy to do because we have contact with those kids and contact with those families. So we send home information about Roundup. We send home transition books and packets with our families. One thing we are working hard to do though is to become a liaison between our private daycare providers and also our Head Start programs. So what we did last year with both of those is we went out to those providers, we provided some kindergarten transition packets and the Roundup information, kindergarten Roundup information for each school. So that way, even our private providers could get that information to their families. And we got pretty good feedback on that, especially from the providers. Sometimes it's interesting and you don't know that they want you in there until you sort of force your way in there. And so when we went and we brought them things, they were so grateful. But we had to make that first step and go in. And so now I feel like we have opened some of those doors where I don't want it to look like a competition. Would I love for every one of our pre-K kids to go through our school's pre-K? Yes, because I believe heavily in our school district's pre-K program. But I also believe that any pre-K program that a child attends will help them in kindergarten. So if it's at our school district program, that's great. But if it's at First Baptist, that's great. If it's at River Christian Academy, great. If it's at
Sugar Bear?
Yeah, Sugar Bear's good. If it's a stay and play down in San Mateo, I don't care. They are going to get something out of that pre-K program. And so we're trying really hard to open those doors between us and private providers and Head Start programs so that they understand we value what they're doing. Like I said, I'd love for them all to be with us physically. That's not possible. We can't. So we have to rely on this. We have to rely on those others to help us with that part. And then my last few slides really are just talk about the benefits of pre-K. This is a study that was done throughout the country by the Urban and Child Institute to just show some of the benefits of pre-K. It's not just because I think it's a great program or our county thinks it's a great program. When you look, you can see that kids who spend time in pre-K, they have huge benefits. They're more ready for school at age 5. They're less likely to have to repeat a grade because we're giving them a really good foundation. They're more likely to graduate high school. They're more likely to attend college. So we see those benefits that don't just happen in kindergarten or first grade. We see benefits that carry them all the way through to school. The next slide, one that I think is really important, is the last column about our Hispanic population. Here in Putnam County, our Hispanic population has grown leaps and bounds in the 20+ years I've been in education. And so when we look at the benefit that it has on our Hispanic population, that's huge to me. When we can reach out and get those kids, when we get them at 4, and we can give them that good foundation. The last slide, this was interesting to me also because this is more of a longitudinal study. So they looked at kids who went through pre-K at age 27 and at age 40, which was really interesting to me to see that, again, the benefits of pre-K don't stop in kindergarten. They keep on going. And so they have a larger earning income potential, more home ownership, less likely to be incarcerated, less likely to be arrested for misdemeanors or felonies. So we see that over time, the benefits of pre-K can last their whole lifetime. So that's it for me. I'm so thankful that you guys were here and listening. If you have a 4-year-old in your life, a 3-year-old in your life, if your neighbor is a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, if you see a 3 or 4-year-old at Walmart, you're wondering why they're not at school, encourage them to come to pre-K. Word of mouth will help us a lot get that information out to the community. I don't know if you guys have any ideas? Yes.
I have some questions about buses. So how does that work for our little ones?
So our pre-K kids can ride buses. It is a little bit easier in our outlying schools, Middleton, Bernie, and then the West End. It's been a little bit of a challenge with Mellon. But they still, we can get them on buses, and so we will bus them if they need it. We have kids who right now, we're all the way out in Satsuma, and we're transporting them back and forth to Satsuma. So we can. The only kids we can't transport are our half-day kids. So if they're a half-day kid, their parent has to come pick them up. But full-day kids, we do everything we can if they need a bus to figure out how to get them back and forth. Yes.
The kindergarten is that
We don't know that yet. My goal would be maybe to have one. I would also like to, I was down in Middleton Bernie yesterday, meeting with my pre-K teachers. I think for those schools, I might want to piggyback off of their kindergarten roundup that's already scheduled. And so on the days that kindergarten roundup is happening, and usually that's a day where it's like several hours. I would like to also do pre-K roundup that day too, because I'm thinking, if you're going to bring a kindergartner, maybe you have another one and you can just do it all in one shot. So that's my idea, is to try to offer some different times. I would like to go back out to the community like we did over the summertime. You know, if I can get 1 or 2 kids signed up for pre-K that way, it's a win for me. So I would love to be able to do that.
Okay, I was just asking, my ELL students sometimes work with Ms. Priscilla kids, and so we do a lot of collaboration together, but we also have paras that are at Middleton Bernie, the West End, and we have one right across from Mellon. So if you can just send the information to us when you're going to do it, that way we can ensure that we have additional bilingual programs
Yes,
our
absolutely.
students to help them get registered. So just if you can keep us in the loop on how we can help support you.
Because that is a barrier. I know one in my pre-K office speaks Spanish, and so it is great to have that as a resource to help those families get signed up. So we love
And then the same thing with the community too. Some of our sororities and the fraternities and then partnering with the city to see what they have going on. I think that would be another, some of their community events would be another way that we can branch out into some of our community.
Yeah, and that was, we threw that together over the summer by going to, like I said, we went to Ragsdale, which is amazing on apartments. And that was great. It was great to get out in that community. We learned lots of things and lots of lessons that maybe we'll have to do a little differently when we do it again. But it was a very neat experience and just a good way to get us out there and say, hey, we want your children, what can we do to help you get them there? So that was a great experience and one that I'm looking forward to again.
Excited to know you can, so.
Sorry, I have a question. Just things sparking up.
Yeah.
So you are in the district, you're limited to 200.
We have room right now for about 225 pre-K kids. That would be throughout the different schools. So at Mellon, Middleton, Bernie, Jenkins, Aquila, and Melrose.
So what happens if you were to have 230?
So, the hope would be that we could maybe hire, we actually did hire an extra person at Mellon this year. We started off with 6 teachers, but kids just started showing up. And so we were able to hire a second. So we actually had a second teacher start.
Okay, so as the need grows, you will be able to accommodate.
Yeah, the
Okay,
hope would be that we would be able to accommodate.
okay.
We normally have, when you look at numbers, we have about half of our eligible kindergartners go to some type of pre-K. It doesn't necessarily mean ours. So it could be private providers. Last year, I think we had around 100-ish kindergarten students, and about half of them went to a pre-K program. I would love to push that number up, but capacity is a problem because, we are limited in our slots and limited in daycare spots as well. But the more the need arises, the more teachers we can have. There is, if the parent chooses to keep the child there all day long, there is $180 a month charge. The state only pays for, it's 540 hours across the school year, which works out to be 3 hours and 36 minutes a day. So the parent has an option to either leave them there for half a day and then it's free, or if they want to keep them there the whole school day, then it's $180 a month to help cover the costs of our teachers and our parents that are in those classrooms. We have about between 20 and 25 kids who the Educational Foundation has been able to help this year. And then, like I said, we have some grant money that they are specifically writing to help with helping fund some more children. Yes, that's all. Yeah, the cost is. Yeah, like I said, to me, when I think 180, it's not a lot, but for our families, $180 a month is a big deal. And so the hope is next year, once we get more of that grant money and figure out how much we have, we'll be able to help a significantly huge population of our families.
Does normally the children, parents know what the kids are
Yes, ma'am. So we send home at the beginning of the year, we talk about what their day looks like and the things that they're learning. We assess 3 times throughout the year, and so we give that information to them as well, so that they know exactly where they are in meeting those standards and how they can help their children at home.
I just want to add one thing, Jessica, if you know someone that you're gonna, you can talk to them about the pre-K program coming up, just, if they need that financial support, it's really important that they apply as soon as applications are open. Maybe even do the state process part ahead of time, so they have that in hand, because scholarships are on the first come, first served
But
basis.
they will not be.
Oh, really?
No, yes, they will not. They will not be. The money that, now I can't speak for the Educational Foundation.
Yeah.
But what our goal is for next year, and we've already started a little bit of that this year, is that if the family needs financial help, they will get an application for it right then. And so what we have created is a sliding scale based off of income. And so it will not be a first come first, it will be a if you need it. The way that the money is set up is if you need it, we will provide it. And so that was a downfall of our assistants in the past, right? Is that it was very much first come person. And we were limited because it was another group that did that for us. So we didn't have say so in how they determine need and how they distribute it because it's an outside source. So the funding that is going to come next year will be from a district source. That would be our in control. So it will not be that way. Yeah, so that's very encouraging. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
guys.
just-
I appreciate it.
I actually have a student in the pre-K and it's awesome. So it's really good to be part of something. I remember last year hearing about this and I had like no idea about pre-K and how important it was, and the brain builder and everything.
Yeah.
And I actually read the book that they talked about last year. And my son is loving it, so.
So
Good.
my
Yes.
But that's not my business.
Thank you, Jessica,
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it. And I did have an opportunity at the end of the year, you know, and it's just real, you know, there are teachers that, you know, had to be home, illness, different reasons, and they're short on stuff. So they were like, I need someone to go to high school or go to pre-K, and I'm like, of course, I was a kindergarten teacher for years, so I'm like, pre-K, so I had to go for the day, and first they walked in the door and looked at me like, who are you and why are you here? But we had so much fun, it was, you know, exactly what Jessica said, they're not sitting here, there was a routine, we do this next, and if I missed something, they told me, we don't do that next, we do this, and I'm like, gotcha. So they are so used to their routine, and I loved it, So I do like that all of them are there together and have all the other pre-K classes, and you have a team of pre-K teachers that collaborate together and build off of each other, which is wonderful. And I will also just add, I felt your pain when I was a high school counselor, speaking of parents getting online and doing this thing, you know, I'm still not, you know, tech savvy like I should be, but you know, you think the kids are, because the kids know a lot. So they would look at you and go, I can't do my fast stuff. And they turn that, you know, laptop around, they want someone else to do it for them. And so even those that can do struggle with it. So I do feel for these parents that have to do all of this online, that struggle with that, but they just want to walk away. So I feel like if we have that support person there that's like, hey, I'll help you do it, we'll put this thing together, that's gonna make a difference. And we're available, like Cherie and Priscilla said, you know, if you let us know, even if it's in the evening, we're pretty good about trying to get that support. We have, like Cherie said, we're part of Teacher Sorority ABK, and Angela's in ABK, but it's also in Our Lady. They would definitely volunteer to sit there and help parents fill out paperwork. We would love to do that because, you know, we want our community, we want our kids to be successful. And it does start early. And if it starts later, it is a struggle. So I appreciate you being here, sharing all of that. And now I'm excited about this. I'm so glad this all worked out on the same day. So Angela Mills and
Patricia.
I know, and I want to, you know what I want to call you? Champagne. Because I like that. Because I think everyone knows you says champagne in it, and so I had to put it all together. So that's like clicked in my head from the very first meeting. But they're going to come and speak to you about baby brain builders, and I know Angela's the president, and share a little bit. And I have yet to be in one of the presentations for baby brain builders. I've missed it somehow. So I'm super excited. So come on up, ladies. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Different than the rest of you because we're a not-for-profit. We're a 501c3, and we all work off of volunteers and off of grants and donations. So it's a totally different system than the rest of you have. There's some freedom in that. We don't have the regulations that you have to deal with. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But I want you to know that it's not something we just made up, and Patricia will be telling you about that. Usually I'm the mouth because I can't stop talking, and it's my passion. We started this in 2018 in November, so we're very new. So we're constantly changing and growing as we learn more things and are given more things. I thought I was gonna have to be out of town today. My son's family had a crisis with his wife's grandmother, more information than you need. But anyway, because of that, I asked Patricia to be ready. And so I thought, you know what, this is a chance for me to sit down and let someone else do it, because that's hard for me to do. So Patricia's gonna speak to you today, but I want to tell you why I called this lady. She has so much passion for this. While she works for the school system, she volunteers hours, she loves this, she talks about it everywhere she goes. And so this is the perfect person for you to listen to. I will try to be quiet, but I told her I would be her backup person, and if you have questions that she doesn't know, I'll be glad to jump in there too, okay? But this is my soulmate, Patricia's not.
Thank you. Well, good morning. I did not prepare a PowerPoint presentation. That was on purpose because I wanted to just focus on us having a conversation. We all know just how important our babies are in Putnam County, and we believe in our county. You know, we believe that our babies have the potential to do whatever it is that they want. And we know now through research that learning doesn't start at pre-K. Now pre-K, before it was kindergarten. Learning doesn't start just at kindergarten. Learning starts at day one at home. So the mission of Baby Brain Builders is to enable caregivers. And we use the term caregivers because not all parents are taking care of our Putnam County babies. You know, our district is a little different, but we enable caregivers to help their children learn. So, and words. You don't have to have Chromebooks or all of these fancy gadgets. Words are free. We're encouraging talking to your baby, communicating. And babies are so excited. I can get lost on a tangent, but I'm going to keep it focused. I wrote a little list here for myself to keep it all down. But I just want to explain it in the matter of, imagine a baby's brain growing and developing like the roots of a tree. But the critical moments is from age 0 to 3 years old. Those roots are growing and developing and they're connecting. And that's the crucial moment that we can have conversations with them, that we can talk with them, connect with them, share with them, converse with them, even though they're not saying, having a full conversation that is legible, audible to us, you know, they are talking, communicating. So I wanted to, and thank you for bringing up the book because this is where it all started. So Angela, you were still in Pensacola at the time. She attended the conference and this was the highlight of the conference. So it's 30 Million Words by Dr. Dana Susskind. Dr. Dana Susskind was she was a doctor that did cochlear implants on children, babies and children. And she saw that the children who had rich oral encouragement, someone talking to them before their cochlear implant versus the children that did not have that rich oral language, actually were able to communicate and talk after their implants were installed. So that chased her down a rabbit hole as to why did that happen? And it was because of just talking. Words are free. You know, I mean, we love books and we love reading, you know, but just to talk doesn't cost a thing, you know. So that fits in everybody's budget. Angela attended this conference and saw that was something that once her and her husband moved back to Putnam County, that's something that she could share with our county. And I'm so glad that she did, because although my kids are older, I love babies. They're so fun and they're so energetic and it keeps me young, makes me feel young, you know. The book talks about 3 T's: tune in, talk more, and take turns. So tuning in, have you ever seen a baby that just stares at something, you know, tune into those things and say,
well, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the table? That's a tiger on the table. I'm looking at this back table back here. Just talk it out. Talk about colors, talk about the shapes, talk about what the purpose of the table is for. There's so many different things that you can talk about, and they are catching on. They are catching on. Every conversation that you have, every word that you say to them is that synapses, that tree root in their brain forming and connecting together. And the work that we do now is what's going to help them when they're our age. And these are our babies. This is our future. They're going to be the ones that's going to take care of us. So why not invest our time with them now? So tuning in, talking more, again, just describing things. You go to the grocery store, and one story about my daughter, we saw a star fruit for the first time. And Mama, what is that? Well, I don't know what it is, let's buy it and let's go home and open it up, So I cut it open, and there's a beautifully shaped star on the inside. I did have to Google what it was, but she didn't know that. She thought I knew everything. But I described it to her, and then we cut off the skin, and then we tasted it. How does it taste? What's the texture? What does it feel like? And that's just talking more. And take turns. Ask those questions. Give that moment to bounce back and forth. It's like playing a tennis game. I talk, you say what you feel, I say what I feel. What do you think? Those are the things that we want to encourage. So some ways, and we are a community resource for programs like pre-K, because we know that learning starts day one. We want them to be ready. And our mission, we say for kindergarten, but really we want them to be ready now for pre-K. We want to build them up so that they're ready to go to school and have that standardized learning that will help them in the future. Basic Insights is a tool that we are now using to help our caregivers stay on track with, and Angela, you can step in at any time because this one is a little new to me. But it's a tool to help our families stay on track with what to look for with their babies. So you can enter in, you can scan the QR code here and enter in your baby's name and date of birth. And that's what the information is used for. It's used to give it, it'll send a text message to the phone number that you put in. 2 times a week, you'll get one fact and one thing to focus on. So it'll say, you can just give an example.
Okay, I made up a grandbaby for us. I wanted to see it, it's based on their age and it changes as they get older. So it starts at day 1. So my grandchild was born in November, we just started this. And it came out of Harvard University. He started it, Ron Ferguson started it. And we signed up our county, so we're paying for it. If you want any of your grandchildren, children, anybody you know from 0 to 3 signed up, please do it. Like she said, the first one's fact, and it's based on their basic insights, which are on the sheet. But one of them one day said, I named my child Hope. But Hope, and it says the name, so it makes it personal. It said, Hope loves music. It is good for building their vocabulary, whatever. So then later in the week, I got a second one. The first one is a fact. The second one gives you an idea of something to do. It said, why don't you try singing Hope today and watch her eyes? She's so young, she may not stay focused on you long and see how that changes over time. Simple, I could do it, it didn't cost me. And so those texts come twice a week. And just little reminders to be building your baby's brain. We want to remember to feed nutritionally, to do all these other things, but we're not always thinking about the brain. It's just a quick reminder.
So I do have some copies of this I'd like to share with everyone. Please take one if you know. If you know
we need to follow the free roll. I mean, we
Maybe I can't kind of like snapshot and share it on our Facebook page, because of course, our pre-K are older, but we have lots of little siblings. So, okay, yeah, I'll take a picture and share it on our Facebook.
But we just started that so far, that's a neat thing too, it sends me a dashboard and I can see who signed up, not who signed up, what zip code they're from, what age they are, and so forth. So it's really neat that way, and so far we've got 9 children signed up, but like I said, we just started.
the final, like, in the nursery, that nursery degree, so I think about that.
Well, that's why we wanted to get them out.
Yeah, what a great boost towards.
This would also, I can see, because of course, we're trying really hard to reach out with our private providers and our Head Start. This would be a good to share with them.
It's also available in any language. So when they sign up, it asks your language of preference. And so get those messages in Spanish. So that's, like I said, it's out of Harvard. I had a Zoom conversation with the man that started it. And he said, and also they have all kinds of things we're still looking into and all kinds of tools that we can use. He said, if there's something that you guys need, y'all been trying to reinvent the wheel. We've got a whole team that's paid to do it. Y'all are volunteers. He said, I love what you're doing, but we'll provide it. So it's amazing.
When you meet this caregiver, we give them this nice little bag that was, this was a gift for, from the partners that are here that are listed for the health department, the local hospital, and the Kiwanis Club of the Addicted City. So these bags were provided by funds that were donated from them. We have books inside, like Sweet Baby, and this is to encourage safe sleeping. So we have this book inside and Eat Baby Healthy, this book. And it just encourages, healthy nutrition that will help babies grow. And I do want to stress the importance of babies drinking water. Think about those roots, and that's how their brains are going. Think about a tree that is, the roots are growing, that has received water versus roots that have not. It's the same thing. So we want to make sure that our babies are hydrated. This was donated to us, and
It's from United Way.
United Way, thank you. But it's a little wheel here, and as they grow 4 months, I can let you know if I'm happy or sad, respond to affection, recognize familiar people, and things at a distance. So as they learn and grow, you can turn this. It's just something, another tool that they can look for, on top of the text messages that they'll be receiving from Basic Insights. This is our notebook that we have created, and it has a lot of local resources for them, like call 211. If there is something where you may think that your child is developmentally delayed, you can call this number and be able to ask questions. And there are also resources. So we do have things in here that support the 3 T's. Just some more information for them to read through. And in the back of this book is something that I am very proud of, and I know that our organization is very proud of. It's the ABCs of Putnam County. This is, I have a stack in my trunk with the conversation starter. So this ABCs of Putnam County was created, developed by local people in our community, Jane Crawford, Alice Adams, Lucy Grosky, and Angel Mill. And they were illustrated, hand painted. And we actually sold the paintings at one of our first fundraisers, which is wonderful. Suzanne Eubanks, we had Angelini, Joyce Duggar, and Nancy Brown. But in this book are pictures of things that are from around our county. And it's so great. Like the first A is for, I'm sure you will guess it, is for Angel's Diner. That's the first one. So, you can only find Angels in Putnam County. It's the oldest diner in America. I think it's in America.
In Florida, okay, thank you for the correction. And back here, in some of our newer books, we do have a checklist, but it goes down here. It lists everything that's in the book. So as you go about the county, as you go about the district and say, oh, I see angels, you can check it off in the book, you know. So it's just really nice. And again, it's a conversation starter. I was at the gas station the other day and there was a grandma in the truck. Granddad was out pumping gas. 2 grandboys inside and they were a little restless. And I just popped my trunk, got a book out and started talking to grandma and gave them the book. And by the time I was finished, they were all looking for the book, you know. And it's just something that's meaningful. The last thing that I want to leave you with is a pamphlet. We do have a pamphlet, but I want to show appreciation to Priscilla. She actually translated this into Spanish. So we're having some Spanish copies printed so that we'll be able to share. But I do want everyone to grab a pamphlet. It has our QR code on the back so that parents will be able to scan it. It does also have our email address. And if you would like to donate, our PO box is on the back and also our website. So we're just excited. We're excited. This has been a tumultuous year and a lot of different changes, but we are back in the move. You know, we're back working in the community. We were at the Dollar Tree a couple of months ago, and they allowed us to just sit at a table. We shared books and had conversation, you know. So that's what it's all about. And it's about helping our babies from the beginning. Thank you very much for your time. Do you have any questions?
2 things that I just wanted to add real quick. Our pre-K classrooms got a copy of the ABCs of Putnam County last year, and so we took that around. And it was so neat, especially in our, like the west and the south end, to see some of the things that they did recognize and they didn't recognize. And it was really an eye-opener to see how many of our kids don't travel places. And so like when we talked about angels, because that's the first one, so many of our kids on the outlying parts of our county did, and so it was interesting and an eye-opener for us to think about. We are very good at including things in our big world, but we sort of realize that we need to include things in our community world that our kids aren't seeing. And the second part is I'm so excited, especially for this, for the little wheel you were talking about. Oftentimes in pre-K, we are the first person that has seen this child, and we know right away that maybe developmentally they're not quite where they need to be. But if parents have more of that insight, they can start some of those intervention services earlier. And so that is a huge help to us to say, you know, to give parents a guide and say, this is where they kind of should be. And we know there's play in that, but it's so helpful to have another organization that can give parents that help, because a lot of times the earlier we can get intervention in, the more we can fill those gaps for those kids. And so I'm very grateful.
What you don't know is what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just once you become aware, you go, okay. So and that's what we're trying to do.
We just feel, just like you were talking about, finding out where these children are. When we started, the hospital supported us. They loved the program, and we get to visit every baby that was born. Then they shut down. And so we were getting to see them from day one. We were acting like we only encountered these people once too. We also have Patricia and Shannon are trainers, and we actually have 16 lessons that we do. So we know it's not a one-time shot when you fix it. You know, we definitely are educators. So we have these that are research-based, and we didn't come up with them. It's from organizations that have done it and purchased them. And part of the Harvard link has to do with this for us as well. So we're really excited. We just try to do whatever we can to reach these parents, because 80% of those neurons connect in the first 3 years of life. This that
And we do those roundups, you know, like you said, you could do pre-K roundup at kindergarten roundup, but we actually listen out. They build their table for people that come into those babies that are enrolling the sibling. That would be a really good place for us to have a.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I plan to leave here, the women's resource center is giving away 3 things to parents and babies today, so I'm there with some of these. It's just been hard because just like a lot of places have said, oh yeah, we love it for you, not. You know, so it's just been a battle. So just like Patricia, I gave out 3 books today this morning at the grocery store. You know, my husband said I love art. But I just feel like we've got to reach the needs of the community. And I've never had to try to.
And when you get to the point that you look at grandma, it makes you feel a little bit different about kids. I know when my husband got my grandson, we started, I don't know, there was something about to listen to classical music. You know, and it's supposed to expand their brain, their thinking. And we would do everything that, and then go around and fill in the trees and leaves. There's something about the touch, you know. So you don't, you know, sometimes you didn't know it the first time of going around.
So I can, so we actually got the whole handout from Dr. Raybon. This is, we have 3, I used to have 3 under 3. And so, and when I first heard about it, my wife came back home and she was like, this spring builder stuff is great. And that pretty much that was it. And then she said the book. And then, so we started reading the book and she started reading them more. And then I actually heard y'all last year and I actually read the book and I was like blown away. I was like, because I just didn't know.
Right.
And so you said earlier, information is powerful, and a lot of the problem is most people just will not hear about this. And so I can help out maybe with that, maybe helping with the video or anything we can do to just make a small video.
We have a video. We'd
Okay.
like for you to share it.
Oh yeah, that's you have something like
Yes,
that.
we have a video that we used to show to the parents in the hospital, but it explains a lot of it.
Yeah.
And with Basic Insights, we now have new videos as
That's
well,
good.
and they're in multiple languages, which
That's
is wonderful,
awesome.
because we didn't have that with ours.
Yeah, I think even sharing that on our district pages and getting that out on all of our social media would be helpful, just because getting that out there. And then 1 or 2 people, because I mean, really, I would never known about it if I wasn't at total programs coming to PIDAC. I mean,
We are fortunate Dr. Raymond did bond with us. We tried to get kids here and they were not open to it, but now they've sold. And so I want to go visit them again.
But it's good. I mean, it's so hard to get it out there, but it's, you know.
And especially we're all volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. So, but kudos to y'all. I mean, y'all had an impact on my job, so.
We also have I always want people to know that we're for real, you know, Dr. Cerency is on our advisory board.
Yeah.
You know, right there, that, I feel like that gives us some legitimacy. He definitely believes in it, and it's been wonderful. Mike Perry is our attorney on our advisory board. Mary Garcia was, you know, head of the health department. She's on our advisory board, even though she's retired. And then, she's on our regular board, but Keith Streeter is a CPA, and so he keeps us in line with that too. So anyway, just want you to know we're trying to do everything we can to make people realize we're not just somebody that say this is how you should do it. We're not that at all. We've learned through doing this. I mean, that book just, you know, it's awesome to me too. 30 million words. She named it 30 million words because if you hear 30 million words in those first 3 years of life, you're more likely to be successful the rest of your life. And at first that scared me. I thought, I don't think I know 30 million words, but it means repeating the same words, just constantly being talked to, heard words, and being listened to. Like Patricia was talking about taking turns, even when they're babbling, babble back to. You're encouraging language development.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that mommy talk is good.
I know, yeah.
I learned so much.
And it just shows a huge difference in our pre-K kids. We can tell right away kids who have been talked to, and it doesn't even have to be, I don't care if they can recite dictionary definition.
Yeah.
If they can just have any sort of back and forth conversation, they are leaps and bounds ahead of our kids who don't, because they do get to hear that rich language. They know how to speak to adults, they know how to speak to other children, just to hear just to hear the words. And I love how you say it's free. It costs $0 to talk, you know.
It does talk about how you talk to them too.
Yes, yes, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
We did mention that today. One of our members was in Dollar Tree, and a parent in front of her had the child in the cart, and the cashier tried to talk to the child, and the child wouldn't respond, and she knew the mom. She said, "Everything okay here?" And she said, "Yeah, he's 3. He'll learn that when he goes to school." And again, it's just people don't know. They don't realize, no, you've missed a huge gap. You caused a huge gap. I'm sorry, I'm talking.
No, it's okay. It's good talking, good information. So thank you, Patricia and Angela and Jessica for speaking today. It all kind of flowed and it's super important. So I appreciate y'all.
I want y'all to take these books with you too. If you have anybody in your life that you would like to give one for Christmas or something, or get scanned one. These copies are available to you as well as our pamphlets and.
Yeah, you want to leave some up?
Sure.
So I just want to, I know we went over a little bit today, but it was really good conversation. So I don't think anyone minded, but I just appreciate y'all so much. It's a great time to hear all of this. And again, we're here to support with it for anything with baby brain builders, anything that's coming up with pre-K roundup and all of that. So I'm going to say one more thing. I know Dr. Mills, Dr. Mills, I'm going to say something about him. Dr. Starks, he made a comment. It was my anniversary, 25th wedding anniversary yesterday, but Angela's husband, Dr. Mills, who married us. He was our pastor. And so he, our whole year of engagement, we met with him and he was a great mentor for us. So I do adore Dr. Mills and Angela. We go way back. So I thought that was kind of funny. He said that today. I'm like, well, there's Angela right there. And Dr. Mills married us 25 years ago. So I just appreciate it. I'm glad y'all are back. I know y'all were glad you're back. I know because for sake of time, but just think about this. I mean, I'm not going to take your agenda home with you, but be thinking about how we can improve learning opportunities offered to parents that are designed to help them work with students at home being active partners in school during the decision-making process, because that is important. We want our parents involved, and those early years are super important, but those parents that are involved with their child at school, it makes a difference. And some parents, like you were saying, you don't know what you don't know, and these parents don't know what they don't know. But I feel like if they would attend the event, ask questions, we're taking different things, and they understand what their child's being tested on, or what this data means, or how can I help them? Because I didn't learn that way. So how can I help them do this math? So it's, trying to get them over being scared and, feeling inadequate. And it's just a scary feeling for some of them. We're all educators. It's easier for us to walk in the door, but not so much for everyone. So just kind of get past that barrier is hard, but we just keep opening those doors for them. And because it's Christmas, we have a table full of goodies over there for all kinds of ages. So please help yourself with anything you feel like you can take back to your school to share, or if you know of a family that would benefit them, we want to get materials out. That's really good sitting in my closet. So please take what you want today. Please help yourself to some more treats over there. Get yourself something to drink. There is a meeting in here